Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi, my name is Murni Eka Yuliana. I'm from the 4th semester English Education Study Program. I will read the material from the methods and enjoy watching. Everything's in its place. 3 context sets language lesson. Have you ever gone grocery shopping without a list? It may seem like a good idea at first, but then you wander aimlessly. You have some vague idea of what you need and why you need it, but that idea is not concrete or detailed. In the read, it is amazing that you end up getting the things you really want or up getting the things you really want or need. If you do mean to remember them, it is only by chance. That's kind of how it is to learn vocabulary out of context. You can present your student with vocabulary lists and grammar exercise, but without any knowledge of why they are learning what they are learning. These activities feel aimless to them. If your student do actually knowledge without any context, it is probably by chance. But setting context in a language lesson can be tricky. A foreign language classroom, more than almost any other kind of classroom, can feel disconnected from the real life context in which the material being taught will be used. Setting context in a way that feels natural rather than forced can be a very challenge. How can you bring context into your language lesson? What contrast tips can you take to make vocabulary lists and grammar concepts come to life in an environment which often feels too artificial? Why is context important? First, in case you need any more persuading, here's a brief explanation of exactly what context is and why it is so foundational to a great language lesson. Context is simple path, the inspiration for learning a language. Without context, the texts of language learning are nothing more than meaningless rituals. Your students are memorizing lists of words they will never use. They are acquiring grammar rules for situations that exist only within the covers of a textbook. Essentially, without context, your entry curriculum takes place within an imaginary universe that no one cares about. Context provides the real life situation in which language is used. Setting context allows your student to get at least a simulation of real life practice. It might not be practical to take them on a trip to experience the target language in person, but you can give them a context that prepares them for the day when they make do just that. Context is the most authentic motivator in the language classroom. Sure, you can try giving out praise or motivate your student with good grades and compliments. But the best motivation is intrinsic. Your student want the satisfaction of knowing they can accomplish a challenge and achievable task. When language is put in context, it gives students that intrinsic motivation that need. So now that you know teaching language in context is important, how exactly do you do it? How to set context in a language lesson? It is not easy to give a language lesson a meaningful context in the classroom. In these parts, we will cover some concept areas from creating context-based lesson. But first, here are some tricks you can use to introduce context in a new lesson. Build connections. It is one of the five stages of language learning for a reason. Connections are critical to the process of language learning, precisely because they make it easier to set a context. One way to do this is by connecting the subject of the lesson to something in the lives of your student. For example, who wants the royal wedding? Can anyone describe a wedding they have been to? Let's brainstorm some words we use to talk about weddings. You might also make a connection to a TV show or a celebrate that your students enjoy. Another helpful way to build connection is by starting with something they already know about their own language. Give me some words to describe this picture. What do these words have in common? They are all adjectives. Let's talk about adjectives in the target language. Provide example of the real life situation in which the vocabulary will be used. If food vocabulary is on the agenda, begin by talking about what it is like to go to a restaurant in the target country culture. If you are teaching vocabulary about travel, talk about situation your student make encounter at one airport, train situation or hotel. For example, you could show your intermediate friends class the Fritz video working at a hotel in Paris. Free text railroad videos like music videos, movie trailers, new and inspiring tasks and turn them into personal language learning lesson. All of the videos for each language are categorized by level, format, and topic, so it is easy to find videos that's appropriate for demonstrating real-life context on virtual any subject to any student. Keep the same context throughout the lesson. It is important to keep your goals in view for the entire duration of the lesson. Switching from one context to another can be confused. Provide a variety of activities to practice speaking, reading, writing, and listening to text and conversation that fit within the same context. For example, if you are teaching vocabulary for visiting the doctor office, you may have students listen to a record conversation between a doctor and a patient. Write an informational article about health care in the target culture and create a skit or a dialogues on the topic to ask out for the class. Here are some more ideas to bring context to live in your classroom. Ready, set, context, context setting for language lesson. Here are some specific examples of lesson in which the context is clearly set and remains clear throughout the lesson. Visit to a restaurant. Begin by talking to the student about a recent visit to a popular restaurant, preferably one they consider a favorite. Talk about the foods they serve, the menu, and your interaction with the servers. They move on to describing what a restaurant is like in the target culture. What are some different kinds of restaurants that are popular? Cafe, pubs, fast foods, etc. What kind of foods would they be like to serve? What are the menus like? It's, if you have access to any sort of realia, such as menu or photo, this can bring life to this question. Allow this question to move to the kind of language you use in a restaurant. What do you say to a server when you order something? How do you ask for more information about and them on the menu? How much you talk about the meal with those at the table with you. Next, model some of the vocabulary that makes be used in this conversation, asking the class to repeat the words after you. When they have heard the words a few times, try giving them a passage to listen to with relevant vocabulary. For example, this transcript and exercise from Andrea are ideal for advanced Spanish students. When they have had some practice with these words and phrases, ask them to compose and next their own creative skits taking place in a restaurant in the target culture. If you have plastics, food, and an authentic table setting, it, it can add to the sense of overall context. Slang words and idioms. Begin by asking students to brainstorm words and expressions that mean something different from their literal translate. A. Raining cats and dogs. Cost and arm and legs. Further, the difficulties of trying to translate such expression to someone who doesn't know that language. Next, go over a list of common expressions in the target language. The nice thing about this is that many of such idioms are actually quite funny. For example, the French have the wonderful expression "expitoy," the taste oak nuts. Take care of your onions. For telling someone to mind his own business. You can find other funny idioms in various languages on this TED blogs list as well as all over this read to learner blogs. Here are just a few examples. French idioms by the bushel 22 delicious authentic press. What tune the ways and famous Spanish proverbs and idioms. Speak English naturally with 37 common English idioms. The mega list of 50 plus Chinese scholars with related idioms and culture notes. Then you can read a